I'm News4 Jackson's Chief Meteorologist David Heckard. Well, you may have seen the videos on Tuesday of some unbelievably dramatic and destructive hail that impacted portions of Central Florida. And when we think of hail, we don't necessarily think of Florida, but that's what we dealt with on Tuesday. And it looks like Wednesday, portions of Northeast Florida and Central Florida also have the threat for some very significant hail. So how exactly do we get hail to form? Well, we need two key things to develop. One, we need cold air aloft. And secondly, we need some very strong updrafts. And the first thing is something we don't get very often here in Florida, that cold air that sits in the mid to upper levels of the atmosphere. This cold air needs to be well below freezing, and that's one of the keys to developing hail. The second thing is we need very, very strong updrafts, and these updrafts need to be sustained for a prolonged period of time. The reason that's so important is because the water droplets continue to bounce up and down inside the thunderstorm. So they continue to work their way up, they freeze, and then they come back down, but they get another layer of water on them and then come back up once again. And that's how hail actually forms and becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. Eventually, these hailstones continue to grow and they get even larger. And this is when we start talking about large to destructive hail. And that was in the cards on Tuesday. We have the threat for that again heading into Wednesday. Eventually, this hail grows so large it can no longer be supported by the updraft. At that point, the hail begins to work its way back down to the ground, and that's how we actually end up with hail. And again, the pictures were very, very impressive in the portions of Lake and Osceola counties and areas of Central Florida. So we have that cold air aloft again on Wednesday, and because of that, we have a very elevated risk for severe weather in Central Florida. In fact, you can see here this orange shade. That is an enhanced risk for severe weather. We normally don't talk about severe weather of this magnitude in Florida with hailing events. In fact, this is a very impressive graphic here. This is a significant hail threat. What this is the Storm Prediction Center is outlining this area here, which is much of the Florida Peninsula, for the threat for what's called large and destructive hail. We're talking about hail golf ball size or larger. And you can see this includes a good swath of Central Florida, including cities like Orlando, Melbourne, and Daytona Beach. And it also includes some of Northeast Florida. So the biggest threat for some big hail today will kind of be in this corridor here. So Alachua, Union, Bradford, southern sections of Clay, Putnam, southern sections of St. Johns County and Flagler County. You have the biggest threat for some large hail. Right now here in Jacksonville, we can't rule out hail with this activity on Wednesday, but we think the bigger hail will end up being, again, in our southern areas, and probably the largest hail will likely occur in portions of the Orlando metro area back into sections of Lake and Sumter County. So bottom line, it takes a lot to get hail here in Florida, but that recipe exists not just on Tuesday, but heading into Wednesday. I'm Assistant Chief Meteorologist David Heckard for Channel 4, the local station.